I don't even know where to start with this mess. Maybe from the beginning. My name's Alex. I'm 25, and for the last 3 years I was in a relationship with someone I genuinely thought was the love of my life. Her name's Jenna. She's 24. And when I say she swept me off my feet, I mean it. We met in college, sophomore year. She was loud, vibrant, the kind of person who seemed to have a spotlight following her everywhere she went. And me? I was quieter. More of a head down, get my work done type. But for some reason, she noticed me. Actually noticed me. We started dating, and suddenly my life felt like it had color. She was funny, charming, and yeah, a little chaotic. But I loved that about her. She made me feel alive. By the time graduation rolled around, we were inseparable. Moving in together felt like the natural next step. For a while, it was great. We had our little apartment downtown, split the bills, cooked dinner together. I thought we were building something real, something solid. But here's the thing about Jenna. She had this massive friend group, 8 people who called themselves the Circle, unironically, like they were in some kind of teen drama. Group chats buzzing 24/7. Weekend plans that always seemed to take priority. Trips, bar crawls, theme parties. You name it. At first, I thought it was sweet that she had such a close group of friends. I mean, who wouldn't want to be surrounded by people who cared about them, right? But pretty quickly, I started to realize I wasn't dating Jenna. I was dating Jenna and the Circle. It was little things at first. Dinner plans canceled last minute because the Circle was doing trivia night. Me sitting alone on a Friday because she got dragged into a karaoke bar with them. Every weekend, every holiday, every birthday. It wasn't just about us. It was about the group. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't trying to control her. I hung out with them too sometimes, but it always felt like I was the extra wheel. They had their inside jokes, their traditions, their unspoken rules, and Jenna seemed more like their girlfriend than mine. The first big crack in the glass came on our 1-year anniversary. I'd made reservations at this little Italian place she'd been dying to try. She showed up 30 minutes late, smelling like tequila shots, because one of her friends had a crisis right before dinner. She barely touched her food, spent the whole time scrolling through her phone, and then insisted on leaving early because the Circle was meeting up at a bar, and she didn't want to miss it. I remember sitting there, staring at the untouched pasta in front of me, feeling my chest tighten like someone was sitting on it. I told myself it was a one-time thing. She'd make it up to me. She cared, right? Except it wasn't a one-time thing. It became a pattern. Every time I tried to make plans that mattered to us, there was always some Circle event that mattered more. My birthday, she showed up late because her friend was having a meltdown about a breakup. My promotion at work? She said she was too exhausted to celebrate because she'd spent the weekend on a 3-day trip with them. Even when my dad ended up in the hospital after a surgery, Jenna stayed behind because the Circle had already planned a game night, and it wouldn't be fair to bail. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her and ask, when do I get to matter? When do we get to matter? But instead, I swallowed it. I told myself love was about compromise, about patience, about being understanding. I told myself it would balance out eventually. Spoiler, it didn't. The real breaking point didn't come out of nowhere. It built up, like water dripping into a glass, until one day it just spills over. That day came on what was supposed to be our 3-year anniversary. I'd been planning it for weeks. Nothing over the top, but thoughtful. Reservations at the rooftop restaurant where we'd had one of our first dates, followed by tickets to see a band she absolutely loved. I wanted to remind her of us, not the Circle, not the chaos. but us. The night before, I told her I had something special planned. And I swear, she looked at me like I'd just told her the dog died. "Oh," she said, slowly putting her phone down. "Babe, that's the same night as Riley's birthday bash." Riley, one of the circle. Of course. My stomach dropped, but I tried to stay calm. "Can't you celebrate with him another night? This is our anniversary, Jenna. It only happens once a year." She was already shaking her head. "No, no, you don't get it. This party has been in the works for months. Everyone's going to be there. If I don't show up, Riley's going to be crushed. And besides, the circle hasn't had a proper night together in weeks. We need this. We need this." The way she said it, like being with them was oxygen, and being with me was, what? Obligatory? Optional? I wanted to yell. I wanted to say, "What about me? What about what I need?" But instead, my voice came out small, almost pathetic. "But it's our anniversary." She leaned back, crossed her arms, and gave me that look. The one that made me feel like a child throwing a tantrum. Love can wait, Alex. Friendship can't. They were here before you, and they'll be here after. Those words, "they'll be here after." It hit me like a punch to the gut. Not if something ever happens to us, not God forbid we break up, but after. Like it was already penciled into her calendar. Circle party Friday, breakup Saturday, brunch Sunday. I just sat there staring at her while my chest burned and my throat tightened. She didn't even notice. She was already smiling again, scrolling through the group chat on her phone, making plans for an outfit. That night, I lay awake next to her, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I thought about all the times she'd chosen them over me. The day of my big work presentation, when I wanted to celebrate, but she ditched me for a bottomless mimosa brunch. My mom's birthday dinner, when she promised to come but forgot because the circle decided on a last-minute road trip. My best friend's wedding, where she was supposed to be my +1, but she was too tired after a weekend music festival. It all played back like a cruel highlight reel. Every missed moment. Every time she made me feel like a placeholder in my own relationship. And then, like salt in the wound, came the final humiliation. 1 week after our anniversary disaster, I found out Jenna wasn't just prioritizing the circle over me. She was sleeping with one of them. I came home early from work, hoping to surprise her. Her car was in the lot, but the apartment was weirdly quiet. Then I heard it, muffled laughter from the bedroom. At first, I thought maybe she was on FaceTime. But then I heard his voice. Ethan, one of her so-called best friends. I froze. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I wanted to believe I was imagining it, that I was paranoid. But then I heard her giggle. The same laugh she used to give me when we were still new, still in love. I opened the bedroom door, and there they were. Her, half-dressed, hair a mess. Him, shirtless, sitting on the edge of our bed. My bed. The look on their faces when they saw me. It's burned into my memory. Her eyes wide, his jaw slack, both of them scrambling for excuses that didn't exist. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I just stood there, shaking. My fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. "Really?" I said, my voice low. "With him?" Jenna opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Ethan stammered something about, "It just happened," but I didn't hear it. My blood was roaring in my ears. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't look back. I just walked. And that's when the rage started to harden into something else. Not sadness. Not heartbreak. Revenge. When I walked out of that apartment, I didn't cry. I didn't call a friend. I didn't even go for a drive to clear my head. I just sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, staring out at nothing while one thought pulsed in my brain. She thinks she can humiliate me. She thinks she can make me invisible. Not anymore. That night, I slept at my buddy Marcus's place. He didn't even ask questions when I showed up at his door, bag in hand, looking like a ghost. Just handed me a beer, told me the couch was mine, and let me sit there in silence. But while he thought I was numbing myself with reruns, I was planning. Because here's the thing. Jenna's whole life revolved around two things: her image and the circle. She lived for Instagram posts of their nights out, their matching Halloween costumes, their themed vacations. She needed that group like oxygen. They weren't just her friends. They were her stage, her validation, her entire personality. And Ethan? He was in the circle too. I realized I didn't just get cheated on. I got betrayed by her family unit. So I decided to return the favor. The first step was patience. I didn't storm back in and confront her again. I didn't tell anyone what I saw. Instead, I waited, played it cool, responded to her texts with short, vague replies, acted like I was working late or staying at Marcus's for guy time. I wanted her comfortable. I wanted her thinking she'd gotten away with it. Meanwhile, I started gathering proof. Screenshots of flirty texts she'd left open on her laptop. A sneaky voice memo I recorded when she accidentally butt-dialed me while laughing with Ethan about how Alex would never find out. Even a couple of selfies they'd taken together in our bed, saved on her iCloud that she thought I didn't know the password to. Each piece felt like loading a bullet into a magazine. But I wasn't going to just pull the trigger. Number I was going to put on a show. The Circle had this big tradition. Every summer they threw what they called the annual. It was basically a massive backyard party at Riley's house, bonfire, music, cheap beer, and about 100 people cycling through. Jenna looked forward to it like it was Christmas morning. That was my stage. I told her, all casual, that of course I'd be there. I even acted apologetic for being distant the past couple weeks. Said work had me stressed, but I was really looking forward to cutting loose with everyone. She ate it up, hugged me, kissed me, whispered that she was glad we were back on track. Little did she know, I was about to burn the whole damn track down. When the night of the annual came, I showed up with a smile, played the role, hugged Riley, joked with the Circle, acted like nothing was wrong. Jenna was glued to my side, like she was proud to show me off. And then, once the bonfire was blazing and everyone was good and drunk, I tapped my glass with a fork and said, "Hey everyone, can I get your attention?" Jenna looked at me, confused but smiling. She probably thought I was about to give some corny boyfriend speech about how lucky I was. Instead, I pulled out my phone, hooked it up to Riley's Bluetooth speaker, and pressed play. The voice memo filled the yard. Jenna's voice, giggling. Ethan's voice, low and smug. Her laughing. Alex would never find out. He's too busy being the boring, responsible one. The crowd went silent. Then I swiped through the screenshots, casting them up onto Riley's outdoor projector. Every text, every photo. That selfie of them tangled in sheets, Ethan grinning like the snake he was. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone dropped a beer can. And Jenna? She went pale, then red, then pale again, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. "This," I said, my voice steady even though my heart was pounding, "is what the person I loved for 3 years was doing behind my back. With someone in this circle. With someone she swore was just a friend." All eyes turned to Ethan, who looked like he wanted to crawl into the dirt. Chloe muttered, "Are you kidding me?" And Riley straight up said, "Dude, what the fuck?" Jenna lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. "Number, you don't get to spin this. You don't get to lie your way out like you always do." I held the phone high, the images still glaring from the projector screen. Everyone deserves to see the truth. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Just the crackle of the bonfire and Jenna's ragged breathing. Then, slowly, the circle turned away from her. It was brutal. One by one, people she'd clung to like lifelines suddenly couldn't look her in the eye. Riley shook his head in disgust. Chloe whispered, "Wow, you're unbelievable." Even Tessa, her so-called best friend, muttered, "I can't believe you do this in our group." And Ethan? He didn't defend her. He didn't even defend himself. He just slunk off into the shadows, leaving her standing there alone. That was when I dropped the final blow. "I'm done, Jenna. I'm done being second place to your ego, your image, and your pathetic little circle. Have fun explaining yourself to them, because you'll never explain yourself to me again." And with that, I walked out. The silence behind me was deafening, but inside, for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt free. I left that bonfire with my head high and my chest lighter than it had felt in years. For once, I was the one walking away, and she was the one left behind. Of course, that wasn't the end. Not even close. The texts started almost immediately. At first, they were frantic. "Alex, please, we need to talk. You don't understand." "I can explain everything. It wasn't what it looked like. You can't just throw away 3 years like this." I ignored them. Then came the anger. "You humiliated me in front of everyone. Do you know how cruel that was? You're an asshole. I hope you're happy." And finally, the begging. "I'm sorry. I really am. I made mistakes, but you know I love you. Please, Alex, just one coffee, one chance to explain." But I'd already heard her explanations for 3 years. Every time she chose the circle over me. Every time she looked at me like I was unreasonable for wanting to matter. Every time she dismissed my feelings as clingy or controlling. There was nothing left to explain. Marcus let me crash at his place for a few weeks while I got my own apartment sorted. Honestly, I think he enjoyed it. Said it was like having a sitcom roommate again. We'd drink beers, play video games, stay up late talking. For the first time in a long time, I felt normal, happy even. Meanwhile, Jenna's world started to unravel. At first, I didn't care. I was too busy focusing on myself. But word travels fast, and soon enough, people started telling me things. Turns out, the circle didn't take kindly to betrayal within the ranks. Ethan was basically excommunicated. Riley called him a snake. Chloe blocked him on everything. The guy went from being at every party to being a ghost overnight. And Jenna? She wasn't much better off. The circle still talked to her, but it wasn't the same. Trust was gone. Every time she showed up to a hangout, there was tension. Whispers, side eyes, people leaving early. She tried to act like nothing had changed, but the cracks were showing. Then, one by one, the circle started drifting apart. Riley got a serious girlfriend who wasn't interested in the constant drama. Chloe moved across the state for work. Tessa started focusing on graduate school. Without the glue of constant parties and group chats, the circle slowly dissolved into what it had always really been. A bunch of adults clinging to college nostalgia. And Jenna? She was left with almost nothing. I heard she tried dating again, but it didn't last. She'd post cryptic quotes on Instagram about fake friends and toxic people. She even messaged Marcus once, asking him to put in a good word with me. He laughed and blocked her. The irony wasn't lost on me. The girl who once told me, "They'll be here after you," ended up with nobody. Meanwhile, my life was moving forward. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected during my relationship, started hitting the gym again, threw myself into work, and actually got another promotion within months. And then I met someone new. Her name's Natalie. She's nothing like Jenna. Grounded, funny, the kind of person who actually listens when I talk. On our second date, I told her about how much I loved live music. A week later, she surprised me with tickets to a small band she thought I'd like. Just the two of us. No distractions, no excuses. And you know what? She didn't touch her phone once the whole night. Not once. I didn't even realize how starved I'd been for that kind of attention until then. The best part? She doesn't need a circle to define her. She has friends, yeah, but she also understands balance. She understands that a relationship is supposed to be a partnership, not a competition for attention. One night, a couple months later, Natalie and I went out to dinner. As we were leaving, I saw a familiar face across the restaurant. Jenna. Sitting alone at a small table, scrolling through her phone, a half-empty glass of wine in front of her. Our eyes met for half a second. She froze, like a deer in headlights. And in that moment, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I was free. She'd lost everything she put before me. The circle, the image, the endless parties. And me? I'd gained everything I thought I'd lost. Love, happiness, peace. Sometimes revenge isn't about screaming or cheating back or slashing tires. Sometimes the best revenge is simply walking away and letting life take care of the rest. And believe me, life did. Epilogue. It's been a year since that night at the bonfire. Jenna's pretty much disappeared from my orbit. I still hear about her occasionally, a failed relationship here, a job she couldn't keep there. But she's not my problem anymore. Natalie and I, we're doing great. We're even talking about moving in together. The difference is night and day. With her, I'm not begging to be a priority. I already am one. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that being treated like an option isn't love. Real love is when you don't have to compete for attention, when someone chooses you because they want to, not because they ran out of better plans. So to Jenna, thank you. Thank you for showing me exactly what I don't deserve, because walking away from you, that was the best decision of my life.